Hello, lovelies. I wasn't going to comment any more than I already did in my comments video about the whole fuss around Elon Musk's one-line D&D culture war intervention, but a couple of things have happened that make me think I ought to. Well, three things really. Firstly, the great god Algoritmo demands sacrifices of us all. Secondly, enough time has passed that the takes are starting to get a little bit more nuanced and thoughtful, and I'm far more interested in interacting with those. And thirdly, I've had some nasty experiences on Blue Sky which relate, and all of this prompts me to give my tuppence more fulsomely on the subject. The kinds of people that are happy to stick the boot in to Gygax, Arneson, others, their whole legacy in our hobby, they're perfectly happy to interfere and impose and to limit fiction and the content of fiction, often at great cost to the effectiveness, impact, emotion, and otherwise of that fiction. And they call these things that they do just basic empathy or compassion. And yet these same people are fine with trashing the legacies and the character of the people who brought us our entire hobby, often stretching or distorting or fabricating things to support that position. And this happens despite the clear distress and upset that is made manifest amongst long-term fans, grognards, the families and surviving colleagues of these people that they're slagging off. There's a disjunct there between the values that they profess and the qualities that they claim to value and their behavior and its effect. The worst example of this I saw was well before this current fuss. Ernie Gygax, whatever you think of him and his unwise entanglements in new TSR and Lanasa, he came in for a lot of flack, and quite a lot of people were using his dead father's supposed bigotry as a stick to beat him with. Now, whatever the behaviour and shittiness and so on of new TSR and the other people involved in it, making up bigotry in someone's dead father and using that to attack someone with, that is low, that is disgusting behaviour, that is thoroughly dirty, and at least on Ernie's part, it was undeserved. And so I have little or no regret about torching a very old friendship and business partnership because someone felt that was acceptable behaviour. And that's just one example of the kind of nastiness and hypocrisy that I've seen. Now, the unfortunate upshot of Elon Musk involving himself in this is that it's not now about Gary or Dave or any of the other people from the early years of the hobby. Now it's about Elon and his alignment with Trump. It doesn't matter, and it shouldn't matter, that it's Elon who said it, past the fact that he's a big public figure with a lot of reach. It wouldn't matter if it was Hitler or Stalin or Gein who said it. It doesn't make it any less true. So it being Elon that said what he said about the way in which the progenitors of the hobby have been treated, that it was Elon that said it, doesn't make it false. What it does mean, unfortunately, is that people with tribalistic brainworms turn this statement into a litmus test, and now it must be wrong because Elon said it. as though people hadn't been complaining about this shit since the disclaimers came in and probably before. And has anyone from Wizards or the pseudo-progressive community acted consistently or in a way to calm this down? No. And we even have an admission from the people that worked on the book that they didn't even think that the grognards would get upset. They were rather trying to intercept and calm down that pseudo-progressive lobby. So they're more scared of them than they are of grognards. But it's not just, elder gamers, grogs. It's not just those people that are upset with this, I think. I think it's anyone with any sense of decency or any sort of consistency in how they act and think about these things that's upset. And that grognard audience, that older gamer audience, is the primary audience for this D&D anniversary book that they were trying to sell. So if anyone even slightly competent had been involved, they probably could have figured out this was going to be a problem. And this has a personal aspect for me, because I know a little something about being slandered over the course of decades. Right? And I'm here, I'm alive to refute and argue. Now, just over the last couple of days, as I've been trying to get more involved in Blue Sky, as so many people have migrated over there, I have been reaccused of being a rape apologist, of doing right-wing activism, of harassment, of platforming and defending fascists and fascist ideas, of being misogynistic, of platforming the far right. I mean, literally none of that is true, but Blue Sky has been around quite a while, and while I haven't been there and haven't been active, these sorts of rumours and nonsense have spread and bred and mutated and become more exaggerated. It's all nonsense, or at least requires a view of reality so utterly detached and skewed as to qualify as delusional, but that doesn't seem to matter. And that's a problem. And as I said, I'm still here to defend myself whenever this bullshit breaches the containment of their block lists and echo chambers. But, and you're not ever supposed to admit this online, it does upset me. And it upsets my friends, and it upsets my family, and most importantly of all, none of it is true. Now, Gary, Dave, many others from the early years of the hobby, their involvement and creation of it, many of them aren't here to defend themselves anymore. And their dwindling living friends and their poor family are still here to get upset by the unnuanced, delusional, and downright malicious takes about them, mischaracterizations of them, especially in context. So, these people who vaunt their empathy and compassion and say it's just basic decency when they seek to impose restrictions and censorship and safety tools and all the rest of it onto people, I mean, this just makes their hypocrisy obvious. They should stop with these arguments if they're not going to show the basic common decency not to attack the dead, making things up about them, and showing no empathy or compassion for their families or friends. They should stop misrepresenting and smearing these people, and maybe if they did, they'd get shown a little empathy and compassion in return for the little, basically meaningless things that upset them. But it's not going to happen, is it? Because we all seemingly have the tribalist brainworms, and so Elon said it, therefore it's wrong. And that's where we are, I guess. Yeah, I try, I strive, I struggle to have nuanced and more holistic understanding of things, and that itself seems to open you up to all kinds of horrendous criticism and attack, because you're somehow being a a filthy centrist, no matter where your conclusion lies, simply by the fact that you have a nuanced understanding or take, or can point out the hypocrisies in other people's positions. I don't know. Some people think this signals some sort of culture change. I don't. I think it just reflects a deepening of the polarization. But if people actually had the values that they professed, this would be something where you could build bridges and foster understanding between the two armed camps. But I don't see that as being particularly likely. Zang.
Please mind the gap between the train and the platform.
Neverwhere is a book by Neil Gaiman and a TV series from 1996, which has also been produced as a radio play and as a graphic novel. I secured permission in 1997 from Crucial Films and Neil Gaiman's agent to produce a semi-official Neverwhere role-playing game, provided that it not be done for profit. With the Neverwhere RPG, you can follow in the footsteps of the Lady Door and Richard Mayhew Dick in exploring London's mysterious underside, the twilight world just out of sight of normal people. Beware of Knight's Bridge, avoid the Seven Sisters, be cautious of Turnham Green, and walk the byways of the floating market. Neverwhere uses the description system, a bridge between descriptive prose and dice mechanics, to let you really bring your words to life. Available for free at drivethrurpg.com.